We are live. So today we have a special guest. We're going to talk about a topic that is very near to my heart. And Lisa, I think, is one of the best people to talk about this. Um, so this is part, just to give context for viewers that haven't seen this series before. Every month we take a topic and we cover it. And this is part of an ongoing security awareness program. So, for example, month one, January, we talked about just launching the program, the annual training. Month two was Valentine's Day, and we spoke about building relationships with the different departments. So we had a lot of content around that and tools. Month three was around engaging with the teams. So we used AI and different fun games to sort of create that engagement going. And month four is about family. And I think this is probably one of the most important months. And I think we can gain so much benefit from promoting this topic. So before I just go off on this, Lisa, why don't you, introduce yourself a little bit, and we can take it from there.
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Lisa Plaggemier. I'm the Executive Director of the National Cybersecurity Alliance. I used to be in your shoes. I used to run a program, training and awareness program, and then I worked at a few different training and awareness vendors. And then I have the privilege of kind of being the training and awareness manager for the country. Because the National Cybersecurity Alliance is the founding organization of Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And then we have Data Privacy Week in January. We have a program to attract more HBCU students to careers. We have some great board members. We have some great partners that help us get the message out. And we serve a lot of training and awareness people through that. You're actually the largest cohort in our database. So we have lots of content to share with you. We produce campaign kits regularly, not just during October.
So what I loved about so before we went online, you talked about your mission, right? And you spoke, and I said, "Oh, make every employee sort of a cyber hero at home." And you said, "No, no, every American citizen," which
Everybody. Yeah. I mean,
everybody.
we actually have people in over 100 countries that
Wow.
that use our material. So it's really about I just like to say it's about anything with a belly button. Any human with a belly button, like that's our target market. So
I
you
love
could
that.
be working at a large company, you could be a small business, you could be not in the work world, you could be retired, you could be a student. We're trying to reach everybody.
So how do you do that? How do you reach those people? What's the strategy? Because it's a lot of people, right? Like, how do you get people that most of them are not aware of how big the risk is, or they think they are not a worthy target? So what do
Mhm.
you do in order to just raise the awareness? Like, guys, you need to even consider making yourself a little bit more secure.
Yeah, so for people that are already interested, I agree. It is really hard to do projects where you say, well, who's the target? Everyone. That's
Yeah.
it's not really practical. So we customize a lot of content for different demographics and different purposes. And because before I did this, I used to be in marketing before I got into cybersecurity. So we all complain about the ads that seem to follow us around the internet, and seeing ads for something that our IoT device heard us talking about an hour before. But it's really about customization, right? It's really about serving us up personalized content when we're online. That's all done for the purpose of selling something, but we can use those same tactics.
Yeah.
So, for example, we have content for people that we know are already interested in how to protect themselves or how to protect their organization or how to protect their family. But then we've also created content where we bury the lead. And I would really like to encourage, I would love to see more people do this. I'll give an example. I did a campaign when I was running a program where the banners that we had created to go on company emails and on the portal and stuff like that didn't say anything about security. They were only there to drive you to click to learn more. And in this case, it was to watch a video. And they were humorous, they were engaging, they're visually appealing. And when we went to corporate communications to get approval for the whole campaign, they said, you need clarity of message. This should say, click here to see how to protect the company. And we said, you know what? The only people who will click on that are the people who care about protecting the company. The people who don't care won't click. And those are the people that we're trying to engage. So if we put it in the headline that this is about security, we've already lost
Yeah.
all the people that don't care. So I really encourage people to kind of just bury the story a little bit behind content that's engaging, that doesn't talk about security. Maybe it's funny, maybe it's something just really interesting, maybe it's a little bit of the beginning of a story, something that gets people's attention so that you can draw them in and get them to engage. So the most recent example we have of this is a series we've shot that we call Cubicle. It's cubicle spelled with K's, not C's, and it's at cubicleseries.com and on YouTube. These are not HR appropriate. These are not politically correct. It's like watching The Office, but it's The Office of the bad guys. So the characters represent folks from China, Russia, North Korea, and Iran. And we've gotten over 8 million views because we prioritized the entertainment value because we were going after people that aren't otherwise interested in this stuff. And so when you do a lot of advertising, you can see the demographics that you're targeting and who's actually watching the videos. And what we learned is that what we're getting is people who are just interested in entertainment. They're not early adopters of technology. They're not interested in technology or security. And those are exactly the people that we wanted to reach. So we were able, through digital advertising, we were able to target them, and that's been really successful. And I'm really hoping we get to do a second season.
So I love so much about the things you said, and I think you're a prime example. So your background is marketing, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what I would like to tell people, and people think about entering the cybersecurity world, that you need to be this hardcore security person in order to do security, or even many times security awareness is under the most technical people. And what you've been talking about for a few minutes is everything around marketing and nothing really about the technical aspect of cybersecurity. And I think this is something that we're missing. So first of all, for people that are looking to enter this space, I think you're a prime example of how you can have cross skills that can help so much in the cybersecurity space, because what we're really missing is people that know to capture attention. And those are the things I'm just summarizing some of the things that you mentioned, because we're living in an attention economy.
Yep.
And if you don't get people to stop the scroll, it doesn't matter what you have to say.
Right.
And that's what you said earlier. If you say cybersecurity, you may be turning off some people that say, okay, this is not for me. They're self.
You're going to turn off most people.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, most people don't want to think about this stuff. Don't want to, when they hear bad news, there's still a lot of FUD around security issues in the media, and it brings people down, and people don't want to deal with it.
Yes.
It's something that a lot of people don't just avoid it. They actively avoid it. So, we really, David Ogilvy, one of the fathers of modern advertising, said when you've written your headline, you've spent 70 cents of your advertising dollar. So that headline, that subject line in an email, that headline in your, article, the title of an article you've written, something you've put on your company newsletter or portal or wherever, or Slack, that's really, really, really important, because if they don't get past that headline, they won't see the rest of the message you're trying to deliver.
So we need, and this goes to the audience again, we need to sell security awareness to our audience. The fact that we have tools that can force them to watch is not enough. I think if anything, this is hurting us, because it drives quality down, because we assume that people will be forced to watch it. We don't assume, they are forced to watch it. So we don't really care about grabbing their attention, or we don't think we should sell it. We think it's important and they just have to do what they've been told to do. But in reality, if we want to change behavior, we need to assume that nobody has to watch our content.
So now, I have a really strong opinion about that. I believe that the only content that should be mandatory is what you're required to do for compliance.
Yep.
Everything else you put out, whether it's training or it's general awareness materials, it should all be voluntary. Because even if you take content that's really, really good, like just say the videos are funny, or you've got training that's really well produced and interesting or whatever, it's the minute you make it mandatory, it's not funny or interesting anymore. Just because you did that. So when I was running a program, I asked my CISO, I'm like, do we really need to force people to do this? Because the minute you say they have to, they don't want to.
Yeah.
It's just psychology. So yeah, do what you have to do for compliance. Make sure you can, you've got all the results ready for the auditor. But then really what that does when you make everything else voluntary is it puts the onus on you to capture their attention. And
Yeah.
that kind of forces you to have to be more creative.
Yeah.
And I think that's useful.
Absolutely. And then it also comes down to the KPI. So,
Mhm.
if you're putting things optional, don't assume that you need to get to 100%,
No,
like the compliance. Be happy with 25%. It's actually a really good result. Like if
that's
you're sending an email,
yep,
a marketing email, and you've got 25% people click,
that's huge.
that's huge. So you have to put this marketing cap on, and when you push it out, expect different results than the mandatory. Now, the thing that I think a lot of organizations have to have actually a huge opportunity to, because you said at the beginning it's hard to get to the citizen, right? It's hard to get to
Right.
everyone.
Yep.
However, every organization has the ability to make their team a cybersecurity person at home. Like you have, this is an amazing opportunity. This is a benefit that you're providing your employees, something that they can take home, they can teach, and eventually they will become this security ambassadors. So seize that opportunity. Like don't think about this just as a compliance exercise. See this as a benefit and a way for you to make the world a little bit better by helping saving families and kids and parents be safe online. So I think organizations need to just be aware that there is an amazing opportunity out there, and take advantage of it.
Yep. Yeah. People care
Cool.
more about their families than your organization. I hate to tell you, but
No, it's the truth, right?
that's the
Like,
way it is. Yeah.
it's
So if you
it's
can get them,
natural.
if it's easier to get people engaged on the subject of their children or their aging parents, then use that.
So, how do we make a company tune into that type of DNA? Because what I've seen sometimes is they've done training. Sometimes companies have a lot of training, right? It's not just the security awareness. They have HR content. So they
Yeah.
put everything at the beginning, and now people have to do like a full day of training. So now you come to them and say, hey, I want to do this family oriented content. Like, how do you convince them? What do you tell them that will make them want to do this?
Well, there's a good friend over in the UK who's been running training awareness programs for a long time, and he actually was at an organization where they did security dossiers on the senior leadership, and it included their families, right? So they offered the executive a physical security check of their home. Somebody would check their router and just come and do a tech check at your house.
Nice.
And that included information about, well, we're going to look at your social media profiles and, see, what kind of risks there are to you or your children. And it has to be something that you offer that's completely voluntary. Obviously, you can't force yourself into an executive's
Yeah.
home, but most executives these days will want to have somebody come and check out their home technology and everything, and even physical security in some cases where you've got an executive where their children might be kidnapped targets or something. So part of that exercise was this dossier of what they could find out online about the family. And once you talk a senior leader through what you know about their private lives, through maybe what they're posting, children are posting on social media or what have you, like as soon as you sort of show them, it's like OSINT, right? It's like a little doxing example,
Yeah.
with their permission in advance. But as soon as you walk them through, well, like, this is everything that, somebody malicious would know about you and your family just from what y'all are posting online, or, your spouse or your kids don't have their friends list private on Facebook or whatever it is. Or their friends are tagging them and you're on vacation somewhere. And that's an eye opener, right? Then when you're talking about their family, then that gets their attention. Now, that's not right for every situation. This was an organization that was in the financial services space, so security was paramount, and the executives gladly participated in the exercise, and they had a lot of success. They did this at home in the evening with the executive's family. And I think they had said they only wanted like 30 minutes of their time, and in most cases they would have so many questions that they would end up talking for an hour. And they also had questions that they wouldn't have asked in the office, because maybe it was things they didn't understand and they didn't want to appear stupid. So in that atmosphere, they felt like they could ask a lot more questions, and get straightforward answers because you're not sitting in a conference room. So, I mean, that's a really extreme example, but boy, was that effective for that particular situation.
I actually don't think it's extreme example. I think I love this regardless to the home. I think to the home topic. I think in general, if you're like a new security awareness manager or you have this new initiative, find out those influencers in the company, the
Mhm.
buy-in, the people that you need to get their buy-in, and sort of offer them, it's half an hour, like you said, online. Maybe bring your family, let's just do something just for you, just for
Yep.
you. And that's part of a bigger plan, because again, you're in the sales process, right? So you
Hmm.
need to get their buy-in, you need to get the family excited about it, and you give them a list of the things that you're going to do. This is not going to be just training. I'm going to scan your network, I'm going to find some stuff about you. I'm going to do a presentation. And it's worth it because you're building those relationships that will help to do your job better down the road. So that hour, or, I don't know, 10 hours even, are just worthwhile. If you've done it with like five, executives that are going to be your ambassadors later,
Right.
you've won the company,
Yeah.
right? They will push that thing forward down. Everybody will ask you for to do that, and then you say, "Look, that's why we're doing this training. It is for everyone, right?" So I love this
I mean,
initiative.
I would personalize it, even if you don't go so far as to do the full dossier and everything. But I would ask, you could ask any senior executive, well, are you worried about your spouse or your
Yeah,
children or your aging parents? Like, do you have these concerns about things they do online? These days, it's really sad. Almost everybody that I talk to, like socially, when we start talking about what we do for a living or whatever, almost everyone will say to me, "Oh, my mom fell for this, or my
yeah,
kid did this, or this happened to my sister-in-law," or just the amount of fraud and scams and cybercrime that's out there is mind blowing. Like the number of people I'll meet who will actually say, like, "Oh yeah, my sister was a victim of a romance scam," or
yeah.
"My parents lost their life savings in a real estate scam." Like, just yeah, it's unfortunately, because it's happening more frequently. It also resonates with more people when you start to talk about it. Yeah.
So, by the way, we do something called Wizer in the city sometimes. So we go to in New York, we go out and we ask people
Oh, man on
about,
the street.
yeah, we ask
That's
people
cool.
about it, like, have you ever been scammed, or do you know anyone? It's like 9 out of 10 usually say they've, either have been in a scam, or somebody they know. It's like almost everyone. And I think like you said earlier, when you were in your closed settings, people share more. When you're
Yep.
in a group and you ask everyone, has anybody been scammed? You see, it's a little bit harder. But definitely people have stories, which that's another topic. Because user generated content is amazing, so we usually think about, we'll generate the content and push it out. But again, if you have marketing people on your team, people that understand how to get people talking, and
Mhm.
you can do a contest or something. There is so much content that the team can generate, because this is not an isolated event, this is happening to everyone. So find ways to get people to talk. There's a lot of opportunities. Sometimes just walking with a mic in the office and
Yeah.
interviewing people, that could be enough to get people going.
Yep. Yep.
So I'm excited. I want to do this. I got the buy-in from the management. Like, what type of tools do you suggest I should use? Or, like, yeah, what do I need to get this going? So I'm not sure that I have content. I have my vendor that I'm using. It's mostly, I don't know, it's mostly office related
Yeah.
stuff. Maybe they have some sprinkles of stuff. I'm not sure that I can download the content. What type of content do I, the same content, just different topics? Do I need to look for different type of content,
So
especially
I've
with its intention grabbing? I'm not an expert in intention grabbing. What do you suggest? How do I do this? How do I go about this?
So I would think about it like the sales funnel. You kind of mentioned you're doing a
Yeah,
sales job, right? At the top of the funnel, you've
yeah,
got people that aren't even aware, and you're just trying to get their
yeah,
attention, and then you're trying to pull them through gradually. Nobody hears a message once and goes and does something because of that message,
yeah,
right? Like I don't see a commercial for an F-Series pickup and then turn around and go buy a
yeah,
pickup truck. Like it might take me months to decide that I even need a new car, and then it might take me another month or two to decide what kind of car, and then what make of car and what model. So you have to remember that we're trying to influence behavior, and it doesn't happen like that.
right.
So you just I had a boss who said to me all the time, people who know me hear me say this all the time, we're not trying to feed them lunch, we're just trying to make them hungry.
Yeah,
So all you're trying to do is get them hungry enough so that they keep engaging with you to the point where they actually do change their behavior. Um, so I would think about it in stages rather than, I'm going to do this one thing and this is going to get everybody's attention, and then I'm going to be done. Um, so we have content that we produce that's for people that don't care, like Cubicle, and then there's content that we produce that's for people that are already engaged on the topic. So think about having something for everyone at every stage. Then what you see on the screen now, I pulled together a list of a dozen of our resources for kids and parents. So the cyberbullying one, that was a full campaign kit. We did a webinar with a friend of mine who is actually a former CIA agent who now heads physical security for all of Dell Technologies here in Austin, and he lost a child to cyberbullying a number of years ago. She didn't have any mental health issues previously. She had a concussion, and that can actually cause a problem. And somebody cyberbullied her, another kid at school, and within a day she was gone.
wow.
And so he and his wife have started a foundation, and so we've got that recorded webinar out there with him and the CISO for Dell. And then there's all kinds of resources in that campaign kit. So there's a kind of a flow chart that shows you like the escalation of these situations. What do you do? Do I tell my parents? Do I tell the teacher? Like, is there a point where you need to tell the police? Is it really getting out of control? And there definitely is. So helping you judge those situations and what that escalation path should look like. We made an infographic for that. There's a tip sheet for parents. There's a tip sheet for younger children. There's a tip sheet for younger and older children. There's a couple in there. We've got some content on kids' data privacy, for example. So we have one webinar that's recorded that's on our website that is with the Chief Privacy Officer for LinkedIn, Kalinda Reyna. She does not allow her own children to use technology in a room of the house that isn't public. So if they're on their phone or they're on their laptop or their iPad or whatever, they need to be at the kitchen table or in the living room. They're not allowed to have devices in their bedrooms. And this is somebody who works at a social media company. So if that's her rule, what does that tell you about kids' use of technology? So, we've known her for a number of years. She works with us every year at Data Privacy Week. And I ask her every year, like, is that still the rule, even though now her kids are teenagers? And she's like, yep. And I walk by and I ask them who they're chatting with, and I look and see what they're doing. And we've just had this tendency to kind of let our kids roam free on the streets of the internet, and it's not a good idea. So lots of advice around that. There's tip sheets on safe online gaming, information about parental controls. You don't have to buy a separate app.
Right.
We did a webinar that really talks about, and there's other content there too, articles and things. You just have to use the parental monitoring tools that are available in all the different applications and devices. So, your iPhone has tons of parental controls, but you just have to use them. You don't need to buy another app to do all that. So that recorded webinar is out there. How
So
do you talk to
what
your
I
kids?
love about this is that there's a lot of resources, and to tie this back to what you said earlier, don't throw everything at them. It's a basically like marketing, multi-touch process. When we do
Yep.
marketing, it takes about 7 touches from different, by the way, not the same email. It could be an email, it can be an ad, it can be a social media post. After people sort of see the brand about 7 times, they usually start to act on it. So you have here a lot of resources, really, really good resource. So what I would advise is, take some of these resources and sprinkle them in,
Yeah.
like make this something continuous. It doesn't have to be even, you don't have to wait for Security Awareness Month and, every other day do something. This can be, you have here at least how many? Like,
There's a dozen there.
yeah,
Yeah,
there's a
it doesn't
dozen.
have to
So, like,
be a loud clanging cymbal. It needs to be a constant, quiet drumbeat in the
exactly.
background.
And that can be, and you can take either the stuff from here as is and send it in an email, or you can take sections out of it and post it on Teams or Slack. You can maybe take a screenshot of something that you thought is very important, a single tip out of the 10 tips how to do something. So you actually have here more than a dozen things. Each one of them,
Each one of these has a lot
each
of
one of
content.
this
Yeah.
can be broken down to like 10 other things. So this is like an enormous amount of content that you have here. And what I would suggest in terms of tools as well, if you have access to Canva or something similar to that, there are a lot of cool templates that you can use. You can take content from here. You can create nice, reuse those things. So many things can be done in order to continue this conversation throughout the entire year. So even though we're talking about April, about family, I think this is just like to get you thinking about it. But in reality, it's the entire year. It's not a one-time campaign.
Yeah, your kids are always your kids, and your parents are always your parents. So,
Yeah.
yeah, there's always that. I mean, if people want to be aware when we put out a new campaign kit on any topic, whether it's families or anything, if you go to staysafeonline.org, you can sign up for our newsletter. There's a box on the homepage, and a lot of the pages has the newsletter sign up box on it, and you'll get an email every time we're releasing a new campaign kit. So just to tell you what new content we produce, we've got a full-time writer and a full-time art director, and then a couple of other folks that are external that help us. So we're constantly putting out new content.
Yeah. And by the way, we also have some stuff, not as much as you've put out, but we have a page specifically for kids, Wizer-training/kids. And yeah, you've got here. So this is a video that I like to show when I go to schools. It's the
I've
open
seen that. It's
security
really
video.
good. It's really well done. Yeah.
Yeah, kids love this one. And then we have conversation starters, and we have some kind of like stickers. So if you want to if you're getting your mobile phone or you're getting access to the internet, you sort of like an agreement and you stick it to the computer, and this is sort of the things you agree to. So we have all type of like internet license and mobile license and stuff like that. We have short videos, 15 seconds, that are fun to watch, sort of TikTok style. So again, between what we have and what you've shown, I think there is so much content, and this will probably drive better results, to be honest, than the traditional security awareness that you're paying for. Like the things that you're paying for are more compliance. The things that are optional, the free ones, will require you to work harder, significantly harder, but the advantage is that they're much more engaging. So I think this is something that has to be in every security awareness program throughout the year, not just to wait for October,
Yeah.
security awareness month. Just do it the entire year. Make people talk about it. Make people engage throughout the year. So last question. I can go on, by the way, but we're going to be out of time soon. So what does success look like? So if I do my job well, and if I've done everything we spoke about, yeah, what does success look like?
So I this is you've hit a little bit of a nerve with me, Gabby, because this is kind of a little bit of a pet peeve I have with technologists who want to see immediate results when we're talking about human beings, influencing human beings. So I'll give you a for instance, for example, from my world. CISA has the Secure Our World campaign running, and then of course we do Cybersecurity Awareness Month with them every October. And they spent a lot of money on their PSA and everything. And so people say, well, how do we know it's working? We want to see immediate results. And honestly, if the people, the companies in the world like, Procter and Gamble and Honda and Budweiser, if they all knew exactly what worked and what influenced behavior, they'd stop spending billions of dollars on advertising and just do that one thing that's working. So there's no such thing as marketing attribution. Like, I just don't believe it's a thing. And so, and security people want it.
Yeah.
But they're kind of outside of their expertise when they're looking for that. Because if you ask any marketer or advertising person, they're going to tell you, like, it's all about trends over time. It's all about doing all the things, right? So you do things on social, your internal social or external, if you're talking to your customers. You have different content for different people that is appealing to different demographics, appeals to them whether they're completely disinterested in this stuff or they're really interested in this stuff, like different, and everything in between. So a lot of variety, personalize it as much as you possibly can. And then you're looking at every tactic that you do, whether it's an in-person event or some kind of webinar or training that's not mandatory. Every single thing you do, you're measuring the effectiveness of those things, meaning, like, did we get good attendance? Did we get a lot of impressions? How many people read the whole article or watched the whole video, whatever it is. But there's no one thing that's going to cause people to change their behavior. You're trying to influence people over time. So you're just looking for trend data of all those different things that you're doing. Like, am I getting more engagement over time? And then I think you have to look at, like, this, is your security culture changing? We used to look at demand for services from the security team.
Mm-hmm.
Is the business coming to us more, asking for help on their projects, involving us upstream when we want to design a new product? So we were using that sort of engagement from the business with the entire security team as one of our most important measures, because if we're doing our jobs, they should want us involved more. And I think that's a good indicator of a culture
Yeah.
change.
So a lot of soft indicators,
Mm-hmm.
which I totally agree with you. And I would also add that if you do have sort of like an, let's say, call it a defender program, something that is optional, right? And or a Slack channel that you call it whatever. If you have more discussions there, if you have more people joining, opting in, out of their own interest, they go in and they become active, sort of like, when we look at social media, it's not only about how many followers do I have, it's also about, okay, how many meaningful conversations did I
Right.
have. So because if I only look at followers, and I remember, when I used to do some influence marketing a long time ago, you've got influencers with 2 million subscribers, right? But nobody cares about them anymore,
Yeah.
right? Those subscribers were like for 10 years ago. They grew up, they don't care about it. If you look at their engagement, it's almost zero right now, but you're paying for that amount of subscribers. So what you really want to do, what brands that actually work with influencers do, is look at the active engagement they have right now. So this is something, like you said, it's a trend. You have to see that trend going up. You can't just use a single KPI and be done with it, because again, even subscribers, even people that opt in, it will always go up. Most people forget about it. They don't opt out. So if you just continuously look at that as a single number, that's not enough. It's a good indicator, but not enough. You want to see that conversation going. And also, if you're having fun, right? If you've got a lot of conversations, good conversations with people, if you feel that you have an environment from the C level, from the entire staff, they're supporting you, they're coming to you, you're involved in more projects, like you said, they're bringing you in at early stage, not waiting for the project to be done and then call you in.
Right.
Those
I think
all of those things are,
if you make things mandatory, you also lose an opportunity to capture that data to see
yeah,
whether or not people are actually engaging because they want to or because they have to. I mean,
yeah,
you completely missed some of those measures
yeah.
to see what's really working.
Yeah. It's like doing a marketing event and counting bots, and
Yeah,
so now you have bots clicking on your email. You're happy, you've got a lot of clicks,
but
but
it's
in
meaningless.
reality, zero leads. Why do
Yeah,
you have zero leads? Because nobody cares.
right.
So you can't judge if you have an automatic system, which is that mandatory approach. That's basically automation almost. People will do it. You give them hard
Right.
time, they will do it. But then you lose the actual understanding of how good you're doing. So,
Hmm.
like you said, maybe do it on the compliance part, reduce it to minimum, and work hard on getting people to actually want to listen to you. And that's hard. And get involved, get other people involved. If you can hire marketing people or people with communication skills to your cybersecurity team, that will be amazing. If not, work with the marketing team. Hopefully, they will be happy to help you out, or with the communication team. There is so much that can be done. Anyways, this was fun. We have added a lot of resources in the comments, and we'll add more. Also, this is recorded, so we'll post it later and summarize what we spoke about. But I enjoyed it so much.
Yeah, me too. Thank
And
you.
yeah, I hope more security awareness managers will have that, sort of marketing approach to the program, and not just task based. um, so yeah, this is very helpful, and I hope the audience enjoyed it. And Lisa, thank you very much for your time.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye.